Hello, everyone. Should I adjust the angle a little bit on my camera? Alright, that's a bit better. Hello, Lee, Nico, Nappy, Ghost. Or if you prefer me to call you Alexios, then I can do that too. How has everyone been this week with the lunar eclipse, full blood moon, Mercury retrograde? Good. Neppy's been good. That is nice to hear. Oh no, it's been a week. Oh, Neppy, I guess you're locked in on that combination of astrological events. Alright, well, the queue is open if anyone would like to enter the queue. We're going to do our opening things as usual. We'll do our hymn to Hermes, who we dedicate these streams to. And I also need to light his candle in a moment here. Hear me, Hermes, messenger of Zeus, son of Maya, almighty in heart, lord of the deceased, judge in contests of contests, gentle and clever, O Argefontes. You are the guide of the flying sandals, a man-loving prophet to mortals, a vigorous god you delight in exercise and in deceit. Interpreter of all you are, and a profiteer who frees us of cares, who holds in his hands the blameless tool of peace. Lord of Korikos, blessed, helpful, and skilled in words, you assist in work and you are a friend of mortals in need. You wield the dreaded, the respected weapon of speech. Hear my prayer and grant a good end to a life of industry, gracious talk, and mindfulness. Would anyone like to choose our second hymn for today while I light this candle? I do need my lighter from behind my keyboard. Alright, so there we go. Candle is lit. Alright, let's in that case choose. We'll do Hecate. I don't actually have this translation of her Orphic memorized yet. Lovely Hecate of the roads and of the crossroads I invoke, in heaven, on earth, then in the sea, saffron cloaked. Tomb spirits revelling in the souls of the dead. Daughter of Perses haunting deserted places. Delighting in deer, nocturnal, dog-loving, monstrous queen, devouring wild beasts, ungirt and repulsive, herder of bulls, queen and mistress of the whole world, leader, nymph, mountain roaming nurturer of youths. Maiden, I beseech you to come to these holy rites, ever with joyous hearts, ever favouring the oxherd. Okay. Neppy, you're up first if you want to let me know what you'd like for your reading. And also welcome to March, everyone. Yes, it's already March. I have seen your status as well, Nico, about how it's already March, and it's so true. We're already in the 3rd month of 2026. Star. Washing boots. Washing boots at almost 11 p.m. Does anyone have any goals in particular they're setting for the month of March? I don't know if I really have a goal, but I have a lot of... Nope, that's not my calendar. I have a lot of stuff scheduled in. Going to a market this Sunday. Next week I've got like 2 coffee, catching up with people over coffee, group presentation for uni, ritual stuff, meetings for a freelance thing, mythic reenactments that Van's hosting. I suppose a lot of learning this month for me. You have the event where you'll be teaching students about chickens. Do they, whoever shows, have any last advice? Aha, I see. Okay, for your oracle pulls, did you just want to do the MTG oracle apart from Hekate's one? Or did you have a preference for something else? Okay, no worries. We'll do Hekate's one first. That's multiple cards. Alright, I'll just give you the multiple cards because I just have to read them out to you. And you can sit with what interpretation comes through for you, since these are the priority pulls. So we've got Apotropaios, Deflector of Evil, Deflection, or Averter of Evil, if I said Deflector instead. We have Full Moon, Illumination, which is kind of funny because we were just talking about how it's a certain type of astrological week. And you've found that you've been feeling better this week, which is cool. And we also have Inalia of the Sea, Emotions. So those are your priority pulls with Hekate. That's the wrong deck. Potentially doing your main reading with Hekate as well, but we'll see how these other ones go. So we'll do Apollon. He gives you the card the Unconscious, Thromokratis. So there's the Unconscious for you. Hermes. Desire, the Dragon Threxus. This is Demeter. Okay, that's funny. Demeter, Nature, Nylia. So those are your 3 priority Oracle pulls with the MTG deck. And if anyone else wants to do a similar thing to what Nepi's done, which is claiming their priority pulls when it's their turn for like extra bits, feel free to, because it's a creative way to use the viewer points, the viewer rewards, and I want people to be able to use them. Let's do a Hecate reading here for you. For any last advice that they may, that Hecate may have for you. Which deck? The one I'm shuffling now or a different one? Yes, Ethereal Visions is so good. Okay, very interesting. In a good way. You have very strong implications around thresholds in this reading, because your tarot cards are Death. We have the 5 of Swords and the 10 of Cups. Then we have the Mysteries, Initiation, Dagger, Severance, and also the Path, Journey. So when I see the cards Death and the Mysteries, Initiation, and also the Path, Journey, those are all very much around thresholds or transitions, and it even say like if you combine like Death and Severance, the dagger, it's like the idea of cutting things away and leaving something behind that you no longer need in order to make room for something that's even greater beyond the threshold. I think it's a really good indication that this is, you know, as we've been speaking about already, like separately, but like I think it's quite clear in this reading as well, where Hecate is saying that this will be a form of, you know, initiation for you. And initiation isn't only this sort of mystical, like really high-end big ceremony ritual thing that is meant to completely change you in all ways, like spiritually, mentally, physically, etc. Like, you know, there's that sort of initiation, but there's also the initiations we go through in everyday life and throughout our life and our journey, where it's about making a choice to do something, to change something about ourselves, to pursue something new, or really go for something. It's the choice to become part of something or to belong somewhere. And I think the belonging also is prevalent in this reading, because with this Five of Swords, the first word that came to mind was, or the first actually sentence that came to mind was, don't be afraid to feel like you belong where you're going or where you want to be. Because we see this person here, they're sitting on their own with their swords and they're kind of contemplating, and there's people in the background. But you don't have to isolate yourself. You don't have to bring yourself apart from others thinking, you know, I've made it here, yeah, it feels like I don't belong here. You do belong, very much. And I think it's really cute to have the Ten of Cups card here too, because it's, once again, that sense of belonging and membership, family, being cared for. I think it's a twofold card where Hecate says, you know, we'll be with you. You know, like a family is. A family stands by you, looks after you, celebrates you. Perhaps there are family members of yours as well who are quite supportive. And at the same time, your pathway, your journey, your initiation, your threshold crossing, the experience of like death and rebirth, it's all something that intends to hold you where you are and where you want to go. So that's the message that has come through. I really do see like this card just really emphasizing how this is a pathway for you that is really significant. It's like what everything else has been saying. And I feel like you've gotten this card a few times before, but it really is Hecate's way of saying you're on the right track and that you have your vision, so go for it. Yeah. Let yourself enjoy it. Sometimes we get so nervous that we like eventually get to the thing, the event, the opportunity, the whatever, that we just forget to be present and ourselves in the moment, and we feel like, you know, we get in our head and such. But she really wants you to enjoy this experience that you're going to have and to take things as they come and to allow people to support you, you know. Hello Armin, hello Seeker, welcome to the stream for this week. Hopefully you've been doing well. I did mention earlier we are in a week of it was a blood full moon lunar eclipse and it's currently Mercury retrograde, so yeah, I am doing good today. Thank you for asking. How are you doing? General reading from Hades, Persephone, or Apollo. I'm glad you're doing okay, Armin. How are your decks going as well, your divination? Alright, we're going to do a reading with Persephone. Now, I know you said a general reading, but one of the things I'm wanting to practice a bit more is to ask for specification sometimes, because sometimes general readings are very general. So you don't have to change your mind, you can just keep with general. But if you would like to answer, do you have even an area of focus or even a tone that you'd like to target with this reading? It could be like a comfort, a call out, a just, you know, your sickness. I understand. I'll ask Persephone for what she would like to say. Oh, that's so funny. Medicine. Oh, thank you for subscribing, Kameko. Hi, bye. Good night. Sleep well. Ooh, partnership. Cool. I'll get one more. And transformation. Okay. So of course our first card here is medicine, which I think is pretty funny. It's funny enough that it leaves me stumped on actually what she means by this one, but I think it is a reassurance though that you're going to get better. Like, you know, it's kind of obviously you'll eventually get better, but I think it's quite a straightforward, you know, you're on the mend, you're on your way to healing. Sometimes, you know, when we feel unwell, the bad things can feel like, oh well, I'm just stuck here feeling bad. But often the reactions like our body creates, it's like that it's your body's way of healing. And so you may find that you will be getting better soon, hopefully. I'm not sure if you do any like energy work as well, or like anything energetic wise when it comes to deities, but it could also be helpful, not a replacement but to medicine, but helpful to sort of invite deities who you were close to, you know, ask if they can lend you healing, strength, energy, and just like, you don't even have to like meditate in a very specific, like intentional way, but just meditating and sitting in that can be really helpful. I like these two cards here where it's like desire and inspiration. You know, sometimes when we're sick, we suddenly have all the ideas of things we want to do and wish we could do, but we can't because we're sick, and so you can't get up and go around and do as much as you usually would. And she sees that. Oh, thank you, Sylvester. Feel free to join the queue and I'll put you up the top for after this reading that we're doing now. So, continuing with that, yes. It may feel that way. It really might, especially because you are an artist, and so it's like, because you're unwell, you have all this time to think, and like when you think of ideas and you want to do stuff but you can't. Don't let go of any of the desires you get, that you feel, or any of this inspiration. It's worth holding on to, even if now it doesn't feel like it, or if you're a bit unwell and you're not able to think as clearly as you would like to, and you're just thinking, oh well, this is just all random stuff I'm getting, like what's going on with this. Write down what you can, or find ways to remember. So if writing down is not really your style, maybe record some voice notes. You know, maybe call a friend and ask and talk to them about it and ask them to write down your ideas if you trust them. Let inspiration and desire strike. You know, even if it's a tough time for it and you can't do anything about it, you don't have to do it now. And if you can, that's cool. Like, some activities might be actually good for you to sit and rest and heal, but I definitely see a lot that might be coming through even while you're unwell. Partnership is a very cute card to get. This one is sort of representing an archetype of Aries and Aphrodite. I'm not sure if they're relevant in your path, but even then it could be relevant to Hades and Persephone as a pairing. who, you know, watch over you and take care of you. And it's sort of like a tag team. Don't be afraid to call on your gods even when you're unwell. Being unwell doesn't mean you can't call on them, you can't speak to them, you can't like do whatever. Some people have their personal like restrictions and beliefs about that, which is fine. But, you know, if you're feeling like it's just like a mental thing of, oh, should I, can I, do I, you know, don't stop yourself from engaging with your gods because they're there for you in the present and they want to be here. Like, you know, you are worthy of it. There's no point saying that you're not. And it's times like this where you're feeling unwell that are some of the best times to call upon your deities. This last card is Transformation. I don't know, what comes to mind like with this is kind of in line with what I was thinking of desire inspiration, where you get a lot of ideas for things. And it's like that feel of when it's like 2 a.m. in the morning and you're thinking, damn, I gotta change my whole life right now doing like, I just should do this to change my life, or should do this to do this routine. I should implement this. I should just go do this. I think there's this element of let, again, the inspirations and desires from here fuel you when you do get better. Like, don't just drop them, as I mentioned, like let them propel you forth, because you might actually find that there are some interesting changes and transformations as this card shows ahead of you. There's also this like symbolism of masks here too, where it's sort of like dropping the mask. So perhaps considering in what ways you become encouraged to drop the mask when you're feeling unwell, and then if there are any, you know, like sometimes we get a bit afraid of dropping the mask because of like consequences, implications, etc. You can sort of consider them in how you might operate in your everyday life, given that like times like this is kind of like a trial period because people are more forgiving, gentle, understanding, usually when you're unwell, things like that. But hopefully that is a message that resonates for you. Oh, I'm really glad that it does, and you're very welcome. Also, thank you. I'm glad you think the cards are cool. This is the Magic the Gathering Oracle deck to keep in mind. Hello, Caleb. Alright, Sylvester, let me know what you'd like for your reading. I saw that you took a look at my rules, so thank you very much for that. And yeah, if you want me to use this deck, let me know. And whatever question that you might have. Thank you to the wonderful moderator who struck down that bot. Hello, Asteria. Caleb, you're waiting for your school transport. Oh man, half an hour late. Oh, sorry, Armin. Let me scroll up. You've given it a lot of thought and you have decided to stick with Rider-Waite-Smith for 6 to 9 months until you understand the meaning and energy flow of the cards. That is a great idea. And I do recommend it because I did something along the same lines. I don't know if I did it intentionally, but, you know, it's a good idea. Alright, so you can get that deck, yes. How does From Archangel question work? Okay, well, if you have an archangel in mind that you'd like a reading from, then I can specifically do a message from that archangel, or if you have a question for them. Oh, sorry, Caleb. Yeah, I've put it to 5 max for now so I don't overload myself. So yeah, Sylvester, if you have a specific archangel who's interesting to you. You don't know any archangels? Okay. A general read? Right, just give me 1 second here. No worries, Armin. Alright, a general message for Sylvester. Thanks, Lay. No worries. Alright, so I've gotten 6 cards for you, Sylvester. We'll go through each of them one at a time. So we have Tunnel Vision, Hubris, Magic of the Mind, Firepower, the Warrior, and also Generosity. So I see this sort of like a 2-part reading. We have the first row and the second row. The first row is coming across as where you may be at the moment, or perhaps some feelings you have at the moment with your current situation. The story that these cards tell is this idea that you've committed to something, or invested in something, or you've started something on some sort of path, and it feels like you can't really veer off it. So you have to like kind of tunnel vision to keep at it and then try to find a way out. So if you imagine like, you know, these two sides like taking up like the entire pathway and you running through here, maybe even away from this Cyclops that's chasing after you, it feels like you're stuck and you're not sure where to go. And with the Hubris card, it's kind of like flying too close to the sun. And yes, it is a really cool design for this one, but it's sort of like asking you, in what ways do you feel like you've flown too close to the sun, or bitten off more than you could chew, or feel like that you're stuck where you are? And the the card here, Magic of the Mind, is you're sort of reminded that sometimes it's not as perhaps as dire or as stuck as you may think it is. Magic of the Mind is the idea that things can change, things can transform, magic can be created just by the way you think, just the way you approach things, rather than only relying upon, it's sort of like external change or things changing for you. It's you taking accountability and you taking action and you seeing the line through things and being able to move away, because there is always a choice, is what I'm hearing. Sometimes it really feels like there is no choice. It's like, you've flown up so high, how can you get down? You've really committed to this tunnel, how can you get through? You can. And there is a way to do it. And there's magic behind it as well. Like, not even just like do a spell, not even a ritual or witchcraft. It's really, you have the ability to create change for yourself. And I love these 3 cards down here because they're really highlighting qualities of you and what qualities you can keep in mind to emerge from whatever situation makes you feel like you're stuck. These 2 are very beautiful, like red fiery images here. The power and the firepower and the warrior. Like, look at that. What a pairing. It's just like huge energy, big energy. Like, you're bigger than you think you are. You have more of a say than you think you do. Let yourself put power behind your actions, the steps you take. Let yourself, the warrior is a fighter and a defender. Let yourself defend when you need to defend. Let yourself fight when you need to fight. The warrior is also strategic, right? They don't just go out and like charge at someone and then like, fall over and die when they fail to do that. The strategy, you watch your opponent's weapon. You have a lay of the land. Like, how to navigate things. Let yourself sit in that strategic mindset. Let yourself know when to strike and when to block. You don't have to let external things come at you and just decide your fate and what you do. You have the choice. Generosity. I see this sort of like a twofold card where once again, as I've said, it's like a quality of yourself. You make consider yourself quite a generous person. You like to give. You like to do good things for other people. You like to make people happy. And that is a good quality. Like, you don't have to forget that in the change or whatever you may do in response to a situation that makes you feel stuck. And at the same time, I feel as though as well that you'll be receiving in return for your work, for what you've done. So generosity being pointed towards you. You've not obviously, but like what's been indicated by the cards is this a form of commitment and your worth and your value and your ability to put, effort behind things. And so therefore, that's how I see sort of panning out, that despite all of this other stuff we've spoken about here, you will still gain something in return. Hopefully that reading resonates with you or may speak to anything of yours at the moment. You're welcome. Thank you so much for supporting my channel, what I do. I really appreciate it. And I hope you have a great day or night, depending on your time zone. Nico, you're up next. For anyone who wishes to, feel free to leave me a tip on my Ko-fi. My Ko-fi is down there. Ko-fi.com/crossroadstarot, or you can do the !donate command. I really appreciate any donations. They do help out, as I do these streams for free and I do readings openly for free as well. And you can also check out my shop through that link if you want any private readings that I write out, or I do offer live sessions as well. Should anyone wish to take advantage of that, 30 minutes to do as many readings as we can fit in. Artemis, awesome. Yes. It's open, but like it has 5 spots. It's currently 46 minutes in. We have 5 readings. Do you think you'll still be like around by the time we get to the end of the queue, Caleb? Because you said you're waiting for school transport? Sorry, I just had to plug my phone in. Alright. Caleb, join the queue. Like, do the join command. Alright, now I close it. So you'll be the last reading. 6 more readings. Okay, let's do this one. What does Artemis have to say to Miko? The first card you got is Patience, which, I don't know, it feels like it has a humorous quality to it. To receive the card Patience. I'm not sure what the context is, but perhaps that is relevant to your situation. Or like connection with her. High Priestess. Sisters. And we have Creative Master and Overdressed. Would you describe your connection between yourself and Artemis as something new that you're exploring, or is it something that's been a bit more established? Worked together in the past. Alright, because I asked that because the impression I got from these cards so far is that there is some sort of commitment. So some sort of form of commitment between the two of you ahead. But it's one that will take a little bit of time to get there first because we're the Patience card. When I see these 3 together, the High Priestess, Sisters, and Creative Master, it really indicates to me, something highly intuitive, something that involves a close relation. I don't know if you specifically see her in a familial sense, but we do have the Sisters card here. And Creative Master being one of the more, I guess one of the easiest ways to describe it is like powerful. It's like one of the boss cards of the deck. Creative Master. Someone who's really in touch with all elements. And we also see the moon there in the background, perhaps representing spirits or even just like lunar energy. Which makes sense with Artemis as a goddess who is primarily lunar related. But yes, it does seem like there's a hint at something here, like a pathway, a sort of like distant promise of now I'm here to stay. Should you choose to, should you want to embrace it, should you want to bring, you know, in this card, the elements together, not necessarily like the 4 elements, but, you know, like elements of practice, elements of things you've done together before. You think you get what she's saying? There's a lot of references to other things in here. Aha, cool. Oh, as well as that, on the Sisters card, we have a lot of butterfly wings and imagery. And also we have stars and galaxy. So the butterfly is definitely a a creature of transformation. You know, you caterpillar wraps up in a cocoon, grows some wings, kind of turns into a blob, grows some wings, bursts outwards, now is a beautiful butterfly. Elements of transformation here too. And Overdressed is the card that deities throw out when you're kind of like doing too much and not in like, you know, stop doing so much for me, or I don't like it, or I don't want you to. It's just like, you know, let yourself be calm, let yourself be patient, let yourself be chill, go with the flow of things. They'll come to you because they are already coming to you. Don't overdress for the occasion. Just let yourself be you. Don't be overly formal, I think. Not sure if you are overly formal, but don't have to be overly formal. Don't have to be overly like traditional. She is a goddess of the hunt and wild, of course, so, you know, let yourself run about. Allegedly always doing too much. The last thing she's kind of saying is very related to the overdressed thing, where it's like, my temples don't only exist within shrines and altars. They don't only exist within libation vessels and sticks of incense, of bowls of offerings. It also exists in the land. It exists in the trees, it exists in the sky and the sea, the cosmic bodies in the sky. Don't restrict yourself to in how you worship. Let yourself connect. Let yourself be more than yourself in a way. Like, and this image of you like reaching your hand out. It's like, you know that scene, How to Train Your Dragon, when Hiccup is reaching his hand out towards Toothless, and it's like really like emotional, popular scene. It's like that, but with a tree. But the tree is like very energetically charged. And it's like, when she says to be more than yourself, it's like to be connected with more. Even if yourself is still defined, it's like that sort of experience. But yeah, that was cool. But that is her message for you. I'm uptight, that's why I always get these wild gods. Yeah. You're welcome. I'm glad to hear that. And you're always welcome to share with me if you want. Alright, Seeker, you're up next to let me know what you'd like for your reading, if you have a deck preference. Thank you for the request to hydrate. I've got water here. Were you interested in... Oh wait, no, never mind. I was gonna say were you interested in joining the queue, but you're already in the queue. Yep, Seeker, it's your turn. Let me know what you'd like for your reading. I am doing well. I'm happy to be streaming because we skipped last week. I was a bit busy with an assignment I had to do. But I'm feeling good. Guidance reading from Hecate, Hestia, or Hermes. Or whoever shows up. Let's do a Hecate reading. Enjoying some fresh air and a morning beverage. Is your morning beverage a coffee lay or is it something else? Mystery drink? Green potion. Ooh. I see, I see. I suppose if you were having coffee, you would have said coffee. Chocolate milk this morning. Very nice. Oh, okay. That was a clear 3 cards that came out. I see the line. Like I saw the line here and I see the line even more here now. Alright, we'll do the tarot cards first. Okay. Ooh, brekkie. What's for brekkie? Breakfast. Okay. Seeker. So for your cards, you have the 8 of Swords, the 7 of Pentacles, and the Page of Pentacles. Your oracle cards are Clothai, Spinner of Fate, Destiny, Enalia of the Sea, Emotions, and we have New Moon, Beginnings. What Hecate is describing here is you in a situation where you may feel a little bit stuck or restricted or as if you can't really move. That's what this 8 of Swords here is. This idea that you're bound and unable to move without harming yourself or hurting yourself and feeling like you're blindfolded, or, feeling like you're blindfolded, just really unsure of where to go and what to do. And there's sort of this idea that it makes sense that you feel this way because we see the 7 of Pentacles here. This farmer has been working on his crops for a long time. We see his harvest, bursting out with all these pentacles. And he's standing here, like looking at them, just staring and contemplating. And what I find really significant about this card here is the idea that sometimes you become committed or invested in a project, you grow it, you do a lot, you put a lot into it, and you see the harvest, and then when you see it, you kind of just stand there and think, is this what I want to keep doing, or do I want to go do something else now? Does success in something mean that you keep going with it, or that you pivot, that you use that success for something else? It's like in pentacle terms, in money terms, growing your money and then taking that money and putting it somewhere else, or using it to continue growing where you are. And so what I feel is that this sense of stuckness, not because you've done anything wrong, not because like you are not capable of knowing where to go, but because you're even at a crossroads, a threshold now that is defined by your work, how much you've done, and where you want to go next. And it's really emphasized by this Page of Pentacles here with someone who is considering their next steps. This person's staring at a singular pentacle, wondering, where do they want to go? What do they want to do? What dreams do they have? So in a way, it's like, why not release yourself from the bounds rather than trying to keep going with something that you don't necessarily need to keep going with. You know, you can let it rest or let it be as it is, and then take just a part of that and consider where else you want to be next. You know, do you want to start something new? Do you want to be a student once again? Do you want to learn more? Do you want to expand? Do you want to, you know, what do you want to do? That's the question you have to ask yourself at this time. The deck does sparkle, yes, sparkly. And that is why we have the Spinner of Fate card here, Destiny. Because this is Hecate's way of saying you can choose your destiny, you can spin it yourself. You don't have to just let the circumstances run you over if you're feeling stuck. Just because you feel stuck doesn't mean it has to be intentional. Sometimes it is. Sometimes we do need the rest. We need contemplation time. We need to find our own way out. But here, instead, she is saying you have the choice. You have the way. What do you want to see? What fate do you want to spin? Spin that out for yourself. Let yourself feel it out with your emotions. It doesn't have to be logical sometimes. It can be what resonates with you in your heart. Let it, you know, there's this imagery with like the sea, like let it wash over you, let it just overcome you. You're going to be safe, you know. It kind of makes me think of like human bodies, they naturally float in the water, right? So let yourself float even when it feels like you're being overcome by a wave. Let yourself feel the emotions that are behind this, because your emotions are not a bad thing. They indicate where you want to go and what you want to see. When you're angry at something, what boundary has been crossed? When you're sad about something, what value has been lost? You know, things like that. New Moon Beginnings, which is a very connected card with the Seven of Pentacles and Page of Pentacles and like everything here. This idea that the moon, you know, it waxes and it grows and it grows. It's a full moon, and then it starts to wane down and down and down again, and it becomes a dark moon. And yet even when it becomes a dark moon, you expect, of course, there will be a new moon once again. And so this is what is representing your journey. Let yourself have new beginnings. Let yourself try something new, something else. It's okay to pivot. It's okay to change. And it's okay to just feel it out and let yourself make the decisions you need to make for yourself. And that is your reading with Hecate. You're welcome. I hope it did help, because I loved this message. I was very passionate about it. It just like, she seems very encouraging of what you want to do and where you want to be. Also, lay reading your message. Concoctions of powders mixed together that comes out green. Yes. And Bunny, you have California rolls. Gotta eat them before they go bad. True. Hello, Pawsy. Thank you so much for following. Unfortunately, the queue is closed now because we have a few readings lined up, and I want to make sure that I don't overdo it before I need to go to bed. But since you're following, you'll be notified of future streams, so you can always feel free to join in and join the queue. Alright, Bunny, you're next. Today I was streaming at the usual time I have been for the last couple of months, but I should actually let everyone know now that as of next week, I'm likely going to be doing my stream an hour earlier because I do know daylight savings is coming up for some places in the world, and also the first year anniversary of my streaming. And that's relevant because when I started streaming, I started my streams an hour earlier than I do right now. And so I'll likely be shifting the start time next week or even the week after. You can see when my stream is scheduled in the about section of my channel. It has like a box that says next scheduled stream, and it has a countdown. But yeah, I try to line it up with the daylight savings across the world. A lot of things happening over the next month. To your birthday. Ooh, so you want to ask Zeus, Hermes, or Aphrodite what you could prepare? I think it's just the US one because Elle was telling me that I was like talking about my stream times with Elle earlier, and Elle said there's daylight savings this Sunday for the US. I'm gonna quickly Google this. Okay, it looks like my daylight savings, it goes into effect in a month. So April 5th, which is like Easter weekend. So there'll be a funny shift of time. So we move back an hour. So that means if I start my stream at 10:30, it will really be 11. Oh, I don't understand these things sometimes. So if it's going to be 3 a.m. and then it goes back to 2 a.m. that means when I'm streaming at 10:30 a.m. it's as if I'm streaming at 11:30 a.m. I think. Europe isn't changing for a couple weeks. I see. Alright, we're going to do a reading with... I'm feeling Zeus, which makes me nervous because I don't read with Zeus very often. But it seems like he wants to come through for this one. What could Bunny prepare leading up to their birthday? I feel like that was just a bunch of cards flying out. On 29th of March. So happening between this weekend to a month's time. Alright, Bunny, your cards are the Five of Pentacles, Knight of Wands, the Emperor, King of Swords, and Two of Pentacles. The overall vibe I'm getting from these cards is know what you want. I don't know if this is specifically about gifts specifically, like presents, if you tend to be a bit indecisive or unsure, but even like beyond that, know what you want, know what you value, know who you are in a way. Like, it's not like you have to know everything about yourself, but like when we see the Five of Pentacles reflected, it's like Know what you are capable of, what resources you have, what you can do. Don't just let yourself trudge around in the snow, injured and cold and waiting for something. If you see something, do it. Go for it. Like, or be curious at least. Like, don't just like avoid it or ignore it or try to block it out. Being curious is okay. Trying to be polite is good. I'm getting the sense that it's kind of like topics or interests even that you've been wanting to like learn more about, but you're unsure about how to navigate it in a way that is like proper. So don't be afraid to ask questions rather than just like towing the line or like skidding outside the boundaries of things. The Knight of Wands also supports this idea. We have this knight, fiery and passionate. This horse is just going at it, like, fast travel, like, other way. It's like this way. Ooh. But the ones embody this energy of fire and growth and like planting things into the ground and letting them burst forth. And the knight is all around this like movement. So the Knight of Wands is like, it's just like squared, like this energy squared. Let yourself have that rather than putting it aside. Let yourself be excited. Let yourself share your excitement too. Don't close off. Don't make yourself small because you think, oh, well, my birthday's coming up and I don't want to be annoying about it, or I don't want to like make it weird for anyone. I don't want to like get into anyone's space. You know the ways to navigate these things too, and even then, even if you don't know, you will find out, and it will be okay to find out. The Emperor is a card of authority and control, which is one of the key cards that made me think, knowing what you want, knowing what you want to do, what you want to receive, what you want to give even. So having a better understanding of how you give outwards. The Emperor embodies that energy because the Emperor is the ruler, like he's the king, which is funny because we're reading with Zeus, who is the king. So in a way, it's sort of like, what values of his and what values of your gods even do you want to carry with you? Your birthday can be something, or might already be something special to you in terms of an opportunity to step through a transition, a threshold into something new, claiming something for yourself. It's like a personal New Year's where, during that New Year's period, we have that time of like, let me set resolutions. Let me think about what I want to change for the next year. Let me do this and that. Let me express this to people, in light of this. In what ways does that energy reflect as well when it comes to birthdays? Of course, you're 1 year older, people celebrate you, you have a cake, people sing to you, all these other things, you get like presents. But for you personally, what do you want it to mean? What do you want it to carry? And that's in this too, the King of Swords. King of Swords is someone who has a good understanding and control over things like communication and boundaries, the intellects, what you think, your mind. It's like straight, sharp thinking. And this sort of idea around presenting yourself in a way that is true to you. And the sort of metaphor that's coming through at the moment is like, for example, let's say you're hosting a birthday party, and then obviously you feel like you need to dress nicely for your birthday party because it's a party, but then you end up doing things that like don't make you feel like you. This is just an example, not like assumptions about yourself, but for example, if you're usually someone who doesn't wear makeup and then you decide I'm going to wear makeup for this event because it's like the right thing to do, and then you do, and then it makes you feel uncomfortable, or you don't like the pictures that are taken of you because of that, it doesn't look like you. Like, don't do the stuff that you don't want to do. Don't be pressured to be different just because you are having attention put on you. Attention doesn't equal let me change for the eyes of the people looking at me. Attention means that it's all the more opportunity for you to be you and to have an understanding of how you want to be perceived, even if it means you can't like control how people perceive you, but it's like you still have some elements of control of how you put yourself out there. Two of Pentacles here was sort of underlying the entire reading here when it came to priorities, balance, control, doing things you want to do, knowing who you are and what you want. And so that's just the final card here. It kind of like guided what I was saying throughout. But you may find as well in this coming month that there are things around like balance and priorities. So when it comes to the answer for what could you prepare leading up to your birthday, do some self-reflection and, you know, be kind to yourself and let yourself be, and spend more time with yourself as well. Like, come to know yourself. Sometimes we meditate to connect with deities. Why don't you meditate to connect with yourself? And that's like very reminiscent as well of like inner child work, or even like workings with different versions of yourself at different ages. It doesn't have to be just a child, but yeah, that's your message for today in regards to your question from Zeus. So hopefully that resonated in some way or answered your question. I think it's nice and refreshing to hear about people being emotional with Zeus, because of like how often we hear about not that, or like the negative things, but it's always nice to hear about the Zeus love. And I'm glad it was good and that you can keep it in mind. Asteria, it is your turn for a reading. Let me know what you'd like for your reading. Feel free to check out my rules if you haven't yet, or if you need a reminder, you can do the rules command. Or, yep, you have a request. So, a general reading, what you need to hear / know. Just because it's my speciality and I would like to ask, do you have any sort of spirit or deity you'd like to hear from in regards to your message? I specialize in doing deity readings with, you know, different gods or angels. Nope. Okay, all good. Alright, we'll go with these 4 cards. If we need to pull more, we'll pull more. So this one is present awareness. This is medicine. We've also got memories and also desire. So this is the card we're going to start with first. Present awareness. I don't know if there are any MTG fans in the chat, but this card depicts Teferi. And what comes to mind here is one of the cards that features this character, which is called Teferi's Protection. And that card is all about basically fading out your entire board, like your entire game, as if you don't exist for like a whole turn. And you can't be affected by anything or can't be attacked. You can't attack either, or you can't interact. And so it's like this, it's a bit metaphorical in this way where, you know, to not have present awareness can be to have yourself fade into the background, to not engage, to not be aware, to not be switched on to the things that are happening at the moment. And it's like things can't get to you, but also you can't get to things. And so it's like a two-way blockage in that sense. And so as part of like what you need to know or hear right now, in what ways do you feel like you might be letting yourself fade out of present moments rather than being present in them? And what does it mean to be present in a moment? What does it mean to be aware of what's going on around you? How much do you actually need to know? It's one of those tricky things as well with just, you know, walking the journey of life. How much do you need to know at all times? How much do you need to interact? What is the right amount? Things like that. But here as well, we do have quite a powerful image of this character letting this ability, like their magic, swirl around them, the world kind of bending around them as well. So it's like an answer to that question, like, you know, what should I focus on? What should I know? What should I be aware of? Start with the things that are priorities to you. Start with the things that are like valuable to you. One of the things I always find really profound is the idea of like a values assessment where you know, first acknowledge that everyone has different values and ways of working, but also come to understand more about your own. One of the ways to do that is sort of like listing out all the important areas in your life and then listing out further what's important about those important things in your life. It just feels like the sense of like situating yourself or like creating a compass for yourself or finding where north is in order to navigate where you need to go. Those are the vibes I get from that card. Alright, medicine is next. In the context of this reading, I see this card as sort of like sometimes the medicine you need is the thing that feels like it shouldn't be, like it's not really healing. And I say that because we have this imagery of the snakes here. And these snakes, they have their mouths open, they seem ready to strike, they're poised to strike. But, you know, this person, this, you know, Naga, this figure here, she doesn't seem that concerned. She's just picking at the plants, making her medicine, making her healing concoction. And it's like things can exist as both at once. Things that may have the potential to harm, but also things that have the potential to heal or not even strike at all, because it's like the idea of like things can sense fear. If you know what you're doing and you know what you're doing is how you want to go about it, you know what's right, you know, sometimes you are more of the expert in a situation than someone else is. Let yourself do it even when there is risk. Like obviously don't put yourself at risk in like a dangerous manner that is harmful to you. But in a sense as well, there is, all paths come with risk, and especially all dreams and all things that like, or we have it here, that you really desire, they come with this element of risk and possibility. And also I'm getting the sense of like urgency, like you don't have to be urgent about these things either. Let yourself, you know, once again, be in the moment. Let yourself be in the flow. Just focus on what it is that you wish to do. And sometimes you may even find blessings in ways that you wouldn't necessarily expect. I will hydrate. I do see that. Thank you. I don't know if I can hydrate 3 times actually. Alright. So this card is memories, and we have this lady here. She's sitting on a throne. We see this throne is made of what looks like depictions of these souls of warriors, of fallen warriors. And these weapons sticking out as well. So it really seems like, this person is sitting upon their victories, their achievements, but at the same time, it's something that may feel difficult to let go when it is time to. Such as memories are like. There may be memories or moments or experiences you've had that, in some ways you could sit upon them proudly, and in other ways, sometimes you may wish that you can move past that to do something new, to be something else. This card also comes with a lot of self-reflection. Like we mentioned a bit of self-reflection previously, but I can see that as well even in the questions that were asked about this card here about present awareness. Present awareness can also be coming to terms with what at the moment is holding you back or bothering you or harming you in ways that you may not realize, because it seems like it started off as good but then turned into something else. As human beings, we always change. That's kind of the core of it as well. And so with that, the way we see things, the strategies we use, and the way we are able to cope with things change and shift too. I think there is definitely this idea behind these cards around how initial beliefs of things can change over time and then may require a different response or way of thinking or doing that is different from how you've always been used to something. The last card here is desire. So even after all of these cards, what you truly are aiming for at the end of the day is to be able to achieve what it is you desire. And it's similar to what I said about like the values assessment of like knowing what you value, knowing what you truly want. Being in a situation where you know what you're doing, so you just go for it. Here it is, it all comes back to your desire. So if you ever feel like the things you have to kind of work through, the things you have to think about, the things you have to consider end up being, it feels like being in a labyrinth where you get a bit lost or you're unsure where to go, what to do. You can take a pause on that and let yourself find the spark again. Because the spark is what keeps you going. The spark is most important. It's like if you imagine this huge like diagram of circles circling around you and all these things going on and things concurrently like being taught to you, said to you, asked of you, and then you're also asking things of yourself and wanting to do things of yourself. There's expectations being thrown around. The thing in the very center is this bright star, and that is desire. So always let yourself find that again. You don't have to just like try to tough things out when it's not necessarily time to just tough things out. Hopefully that kind of made sense to you and is something you could take away with you moving forward. Also, no worries, Neppy. You're welcome for the reading. Thanks for coming in and have a good sleep. And good luck tomorrow too. Let me know how it goes after. You are welcome, Asteria. Thank you so much for popping into the stream. Feel free to follow if you aren't already, if you want to be notified for future streams. Alright. Next reading up. Thank you so much for the follow, Asteria. We've met the follower goal, 190. That is super awesome. Maybe we can get to 200 by the time we get to a year mark of the channel. You don't know. Are you sure you don't know? Typically, if people are queuing for a reading, it's because they have something they want to ask, or because there's something You know, for me, as I mentioned, my specialization is deity and spirit communication. So it's definitely the preference if you'd like to consider something you'd like to ask about, as it's respectful to my space and time as well, as opposed to just leaving it really open, because it can make it more difficult to read in that way. You've got so much you don't even know anymore. You mean you've gotten like a lot of readings, or you've got a lot going on? Caleb is right. You can get a general advice reading, because at least advice is a bit of a focus towards something. And with advice, you can always take it or leave it. It's not a bad thing to sit on it as well, to just think about it. That's okay. Hello, Zal. Welcome to the stream. Yes, unfortunately the queue is closed, as I'm going to be heading to sleep soon. So just doing the last couple of readings for the night. But if you follow, you can get notified for each stream. I tend to stream every week. Sometimes I skip because of other commitments, but I try to be consistent with it. Any message I get. That's a whole chunk of cards I flipped over. Dang, these chunks of cards keep just falling out. Okay, interesting. So it does make sense that you're saying a lot is happening in your life. Six of Wands, card of recognition, public recognition, celebrations. Eight of Wands, a lot of moving parts, things coming through, things coming one after another. We've got the Hermit, very contemplative person. Someone who's kind of just trying to navigate the night with a lamp. Eight of Pentacles, typically associated with long-term projects, things that you're working hard on, foundations that you're building for yourself, kind of like being at the finish line of something but still having to do the work behind it. Page of Swords, new opportunities, news coming your way, could be good news. This is just an overview so far. Ten of Cups, which is once again a very celebratory card. It has elements of family. and the Four of Cups. Four of Cups has me interested because it's sort of like that card that comes through when you're being given something but you're not like quite hearing it or getting it. It's even like if you might have like heard certain messages before and then like you're hearing it again and you're feeling like, oh, is it just a coincidence, or is it like, you know, is it on purpose that it's happening again? It doesn't have to be exactly messages, but it's like just thoughts or like ideas or hits of inspiration that you may get every so often. You're wondering, oh, like, is this like the right piece? Am I going the right way? Let me just put it to the side because it's easier to do it that way. So if we go back to the start of the reading, I'm just going to do a drink of water. Feels like there's a lot of attention happening. Like a lot of attention is being brought to you and you're kind of like, well, do I want all this attention right now? Is this something that I really actually want to focus on? Things are moving a bit fast. I don't know if I'm keeping up. Those are the sort of feelings that are coming through on the cards. And the advice that is sort of laid upon this is sort of like an acknowledgement that you are someone who isn't expected to have it all together. And I know that it's like, oh, well, people are expecting me of this, or I expect myself, you know, to do this. And I get that because, you know, you can't change people's minds and people think the things they think. But you can start with yourself most of all, because oftentimes when we're feeling a lot of like that emotion, that like turmoil, that spiraling, it's because we take something and we just go like, we go incredibly hard with it and it just keeps going until it transforms into something else that doesn't even look like the original anymore, but you've just twisted it so much that it's become really tight for you and just like difficult to get through. And so if we just step back, it's coming back to the idea that you are someone who deserves space, deserves time to think, doesn't have to know everything. You know, you should acknowledge yourself as someone who is trying your best, and also someone who is learning a lot of things too. Like you may be someone who does actually know like a lot of whatever may be going on. Like you may have the good skills to contribute to whatever the situation is. You may know some things that other people don't, but at the same time there are things that you'll always have to learn too. And I say that because the Page of Swords is like this fresh person, someone new, someone like going into new ideas, someone trying to make a name for themselves. And you also do have, like, even when it doesn't feel like it, you do have people around you who will support you and who will be there for you, which is where we see that Ten of Cups coming in. Sometimes it's not about solving your problems. Sometimes it's not about these people, you know, fighting your battles. Sometimes they just need to be there to hold a space, to have presence, to offer a little bit of advice maybe, or a little bit of wisdom. It's not going to be a singular or individual effort. It's going to be a group effort. Even if you still at the end of the day have to be the person to do most of the work, it makes it just a little bit lighter to let those people in and to let those people contribute in ways that even if it feels like, is this really the right decision because of all this other stuff going on? Like, can I really trust this way of doing it? You won't know until you know. You won't know until you try. Hopefully that made sense and maybe left you some thoughts on things. You're welcome. I hope things ease up for you and get better. Can the sun learn script? Can you elaborate on what you mean by that? Right, Caleb, your turn. Displaying messages of communication through sunspots. I mean, I don't really know how to answer that question. I might not be the person to ask for that. Alright, Aries reading was wondering what I could do for him and what I should focus on within my practice with him. Good question. Let's pull out the D&D tarot. Give him some offerings, so I'm hoping he has a bigger answer this time. Okay. I mean, I would say no, only because I don't know how humans would perceive that, even if it was the case. We shouldn't go staring at the sun. If there's any like images that come through, it might be coincidence. Alright. Aries, what would you like Caleb to focus on? What could Caleb do for you? The Devil. 6 of Charisma. When you gave offerings, did you give any libations, like liquid offerings? Gave him water. I was asking because the 2 of these cards have like a cup depicted on them, so I was thinking, does he want libations? Does he want wine? Though I don't necessarily want to go encouraging people to go buy wine for their gods, because wine isn't cheap and some people are not of age to buy alcohol. Little tea, that's nice. Alright, so let's go over these cards. You have the Devil, the 6 of Charisma here, the 10 of Intelligence, the 3 of Charisma, and the 4 of Intelligence. So I'm going to start over here because I feel like there's something here that I can say. like it comes to mind really quickly. So these two cards here are a pairing of the Three of Charisma is like the Three of Pentacles, and Four of Intelligence is like the Four of Swords. He would like you to learn something for him. It could be like a new hobby or an interest, but specifically it has to be something you do for fun. Something that you do that can like help you relax or rest. Not like school, not like a course, not like something that like requires a lot of work behind it. It's something that you can do with others, something that is creative, that allows you to express. There seems to be this like something coming through quite persistently about express. He does this sort of like gesture he like holds his hands to his heart and then like puts his arms outward. You can't really see it probably because of the way the setup is, but like he does that. And it's like a burst of expression. And he's saying rather than letting things like wait and like pile up and like culminate into something and then like it goes forth, try to like weave it into your life in a bit of more of an intentional way. He's bringing up like domains around being very like, you know, obviously him as a deity of like war, it's a bit unapplicable to something, people and some things, but other ways of looking at it is sort of like, how do you express your strength, your feelings, your anger, like how you process those emotions. Writing in D&D, I like that because D&D, obviously we have the D&D tarot, so that correlates well. Especially if it's something that you can do with other people, because look at these two cards here. We have these lovely groups of people just enjoying the time together, you know, vibing. D&D could be a really fun one. Something that allows you to learn and also teach at the same time. If it's like, you know, other people may learn some things from you. And at the same time, yeah, it's not something that requires the same amount of brain processing as like a job or a hobby that you do on your own or schooling. You should do that. And you should dedicate it to him. Dedicate it to Aries. You know, it's kind of funny as well because like this card is like, you know, when that classic like all the characters meet in the tavern at the start of the adventure, it's like that. Also like a light bulb moment. I think this card also affirms that he likes your offerings, by the way, because we have like a bread, a wine glass, and some money, and all three of those are like associated with some form of like offering, where it's like a food offering, a drink offering, and like a votive or object-based offering. I don't know if he necessarily gave all three of them, but there's like a sense of satisfaction. Six of Charisma as well is like the Six of Pentacles. It's like a give and take, an exchange. So getting a better idea of what it means to have a reciprocal sort of like relationship. He likes it when you give, and he also likes it when you ask. So keep that up. It's sort of like let yourself continue to build and deepen that relationship, you know, as part of focusing on the practice. It's like if there's any deity to do that with, he wants to be one of those deities for you to like really get into what it means to practice with a god, what it means to grow closer, what it means to develop a relationship where you feel as though you can call upon him because of the continuing development you've done. Oh, a little bull assault though. Oh, that's so cute. Very relevant then with the bread. Coming back to the 10 of Intelligence, which I skipped over because I wanted to say something about the 6 of Charisma. I ask him to ground me a lot of the time and ask for protection. You can ask for other things too. Or like you can ask him for inspiration on what to do for protection. Like, rather than just asking him for protection, he can teach you, like, not like martial arts, but it's sort of, sometimes deities can inspire us to do certain rituals or get certain objects that may represent protection and things like that to enable us to do more. That is one way that people like work with the gods, right? Is that they learn from them to create things for themselves rather than only asking for something from the god specifically, like directly. 10 of Intelligence is the vibes of like, you were once the student, now you're becoming the master. It's like a graduation of something. You've sort of like, you've been at this stage, now you're moving on to the next stage. And I think it's quite intuitively connected as well. We have the moon in the background. We have this wand here with like runes inscribed on them. And this person has their eyes closed. And so I see it as something as well where you may be developing something strongly in the realm of like altered consciousness, senses, psychic stuff, divination-based ability. You know, while deities have their domains and interests and focus, they can apply across the board with things too. Like, you know, deities evolve. Lots of people are interested in Aries and communicate with him in a variety of ways. It's sort of like, as he branches out, let yourself branch out too. Which connects to what I was going to say about the devil, because what I feel with the devil is this idea of restriction. Ooh, Aries was a oracular deity in ancient Minor. I did not know that. That's so cool. I was gonna say with this card, don't do the things that you feel like you're contractually obligated to do in vibe, right? Like, don't do the things that just because you feel like you have to do it. I feel like that makes a lot of sense with this. Intuitive vibes, the sense of graduation, of moving forward. And then here, like, not restricting yourself to things just because you feel like you have to. Do it for the love of the game, not because you feel like you need to follow a contract. Because the devil and the lovers, they're two sides of the same coin. It just depends on how you go about it. Don't be tempted into conforming. Let yourself sort of branch out, and I think he wants you to keep going with that. I think that's a really cool topic that you have going there, and it matches the intuition. But yeah, that's all the cards, and I hope that was helpful for you. I am a little bit tired, so I apologize if it was not very high quality. I try my best to put as much as I can into each reading. Do you have an indication of what I am moving to the next stage of? Well, I was kind of thinking of like in terms of practice. I'm gonna actually quickly check something. Where am I trying to look? Did you recently change your profile on Discord? Like it's yellow now instead of red? I think this is you. You did. Okay, so I noticed that you have the curious role on the server, and then I also am looking at your divination offers post where you talk about having 2 years of experience but still learning. I got the sense that you were, in terms of like this movement onto something, it's like moving from just identifying as like a really like baby beginner and like, you know, embracing more of a advancement to like intermediate. And part of that advancement is defining more for yourself, letting yourself, you know, as you're doing research things rather than just sticking to what everyone says, advancing your abilities, making it feel like you can grow. It's like you can grow as much as you want, calling yourself a curious person or a beginner or someone who's still learning. But like, we're always still learning. So you don't have to define yourself in that way. Define yourself as something that you like, who you are, and then grow into that. That's sort of how I would describe it, if that makes sense. Let yourself embrace forward movement in your path. Even if that means something that looks like, or like, I guess something that isn't particularly prevalent in everyone's pathway. Yeah, but there we go. Well, that brings us to the end of our stream. And you're very welcome, Caleb. Thank you so much for your patience for the reading. I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you to people lurking as well. Have a great day or night, depending on where you are in the world. I'm going to be heading to sleep. Doesn't look like anyone's really streaming. Or like there's really anyone to raid, more like. Yeah. All good. I'll catch you all next week, perhaps an hour earlier, but depends on your location because daylight saving. So be sure to check the scheduled time.